Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't got any notes, so we're going to wing it. Wood carving is a great hobby, and with the art of doing this, for example, this is one of my birds, and you try to make them as realistic and as lifelike as possible. This one, for example, the wings are 1/10 of an inch thick, and they started off being 1.5 inches. And the whole carving, you can see, is balanced on the mouse's tail. So it's that took me about 4.5 months. But wood carving is not necessarily for old people. Young people should join. It's true, because if you're working in a stressful environment, do wood carving because it's a great stress reliever. This is an example of the spirit of the wood. That's the Green Man. And again, that's but done by one of our members. We have an annual show at Stevenson Community Centre at the end of May, where all of these things will be displayed. That's a piece of like a whimsical thing where people have just taken a piece of wood and just carved what they like, and it's a wonderful hobby, really. It's not necessarily you don't necessarily start with knives, but you can do whatever your health problems dictate. This is what we call I've forgotten the word for it. It's a stylized heron. And again, as you can see there, it's just the outline with no structured detail. So it's just, you look at the bird and it's the artistic rendition of a heron, whereas this one, you've got a lot more detail, where this is it's semi-stylized that, because it hasn't got the actual detail of the first ones, where when you do the first ones we saw, when you do the carving there, all the feathers are burnt in with a burning pen for the striations, but you don't get that there. Again, this is another one of our members. I think he won the first prize at the Best of Show on the island for that last week. It's one of his fish. It's very good. It's very clever, and the painting is superb. Right. Oh, I've got to wait for that one. This one is done by one of our past presidents. Again, it's a stylized hummingbird in the native style, where you've got some of these sort of First Nations concepts there, but it's free flowing, and he's a very, very talented carver, and his work. This one is the carving in the round. It's like a sculptor. The carver here took a photograph of her niece and a block of wood and just chipped away. And it's there somewhere. You just got to find it. But very good. We're very pleased with that one. And it took her a long time to do, but it's a good rendition. This one is a sample of some of the First Nations carving, which we do. We tried to get them as realistic as possible, and sometimes we get in contact with the First Nations people to give us some advice on what we should and shouldn't do as regards to the designs. Again, a simple hummingbird and on a flower. Now, all these flowers would be carved out of wood, as would the leaves and stuff like that. So this is a perched one, and on the wing up the top there, we carve them there with the wings are carved separately and stuck in at the end. This one we call a whimsy. As you can see, it's whimsical. Again, it's just fun. It's fun carving. Next one. I've got to wait for 20 seconds, sorry. But anyway, while we're waiting, an advert. Another fish. Again, I can't say much about that because I don't know much about it myself. But what we're doing is we're carving at London Farm this weekend, and we were doing a lot of demonstrations there over the summer holidays. Our annual show is the last weekend in May at the Stevenson Community Centre. Please come along. Again, just a simple robin, but you can see the detail we put into it, where we get little splits in the wings and the leaves, and all this stuff is done by a burning pen. We do the outline first of all, and they're as realistic as we can possibly make them, and life size. Again, that's just a stylised concept of a salmon. That's a First Nations type of thing. And again, they're good fun. Oh, sorry, I was on the about our annual show. You must come along. It's a great show. We'll have probably 200 or 300 of this one. Sorry, I'm sidetracked. This one is a half-size one. This is an Asian ringneck pheasant, and when I carve this one, you've got to carve the tail feathers separately because they have quite a severe curve on them, and when they're curved and detailed, you have to place them. This one's just a nesting robin. It's just building his nest and so on. But again, I favour birds, as you can see. But I use a high-speed grinder for this. It's similar to a Dremel, only a bit more sophisticated. Now this one is called a smoothie. Where the others were textured, this one is sanded smooth. And all those feathering details are created by the use of paint. And I think there's a chap, we had a seminar with him many years ago to do that, and he charges something like $3,000 a bird in the States for those. This is another simple bird. It's if you come from the prairies, that's, what is it? What is it? I've forgotten the name of the bird now. Meadowlark, thank you very much. A western meadowlark. Again, this one is it's probably a relief carving, this one, and that's probably by Tom, one of our members. I think that's just the top of a box. He really is an absolute wonderful carver, and is really superb. And his workmanship and his choice of woods is absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for your attention.